On the rugged coast of Maine, where the relentless Atlantic waves crashed against jagged cliffs, stood the solitary Beacon Point Lighthouse. Its keeper, Thomas Whitaker, had lived alone within its sturdy stone walls for nearly 2 decades. A man of few words, Thomas found solace in the isolation, his life governed by the rhythm of the sea and the steady sweep of the lighthouse beam. He had long ago retreated from the world, nursing old wounds that time had failed to heal. Thomas's life followed a predictable routine. He tended to the lighthouse with meticulous care, ensuring its light remained a steadfast guide for ships navigating the treacherous coastline. When not at his duties, he would lose himself in books, their stories offering an escape from the loneliness that haunted him. He had resigned himself to this existence, believing it was his penance for a past filled with loss and regret. One stormy night, as thunder rumbled and lightning illuminated the tempestuous sea, Thomas spotted a vessel struggling against the ferocious waves. He sounded the alarm and watched with a heavy heart as the ship was mercilessly tossed upon the rocks. Without hesitation, Thomas donned his oilskin coat and ventured into the storm, determined to save any survivors. Amidst the wreckage, he found her Eliza, an artist traveling to a coastal retreat for inspiration. Clinging to a piece of debris, she was barely conscious, her vibrant red hair plastered to her pale face. With great effort, Thomas pulled her to safety and carried her back to the lighthouse. Over the following days, as the storm abated, Thomas tended to Eliza's wounds. She awoke in a daze, her green eyes wide with fear and confusion. Thomas, though gruff and reserved, reassured her with his quiet strength. Eliza, grateful for his care, slowly began to recover. As Eliza regained her strength, she explored the lighthouse and its surroundings. She was captivated by the rugged beauty of the coastline and the timeless, stoic presence of the lighthouse itself. Her artist's eye saw the landscape as a canvas waiting to be painted, each wave and rock a stroke of nature's brush. She begged Thomas for art supplies, and he obliged, venturing to the nearest town for paints and canvases. Thomas watched, fascinated, as Eliza transformed the lighthouse's small parlor into a makeshift studio. She painted with fervor, her brush capturing the essence of the sea and sky, the lighthouse standing tall amidst the chaos. Her art was a vibrant contrast to his monochromatic existence, breathing life into the old stone walls. In the evenings, they would sit together, sharing stories. Eliza spoke of her travels, her passion for capturing the world's beauty on canvas, and the loneliness she felt as a wandering artist. Thomas, in turn, revealed fragments of his past, a love lost to illness, the grief that had driven him to the isolation of the lighthouse. Through these conversations, a bond began to form, bridging the gap between their disparate worlds. One afternoon, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the ocean, Eliza asked Thomas to sit for a portrait. He hesitated, uncomfortable with the idea of being the subject rather than the observer. But her earnest plea and the warmth in her eyes convinced him. As Eliza painted, she saw beyond Thomas's weathered exterior to the kindness and sorrow etched in his features. She captured not just his likeness, but the depth of his soul. When she finally unveiled the portrait, Thomas was taken aback. He saw himself through her eyes, strong yet vulnerable, a guardian of the light, but also a man yearning for connection. That night, under a sky studded with stars, Eliza shared her own pain. She had spent years running from her past, avoiding the grief of losing her parents in a tragic accident. Her art was both an escape and a way to keep their memory alive. Thomas listened, understanding that they were both haunted by ghosts they could not exorcise alone. Their shared vulnerabilities drew them closer, and a tender romance blossomed. Thomas found himself opening up in ways he hadn't in years, his heart slowly thawing from the winter of his past. Eliza, in turn, discovered a sanctuary in Thomas's steadfast presence, a rock amid the ever-changing tides of her life. As the weeks turned into months, Eliza's strength returned, and the wreckage of her ship was salvaged. She faced a choice: return to her nomadic life as an artist, or stay with Thomas in the lighthouse. The decision weighed heavily on her, for she had found a love that both terrified and exhilarated her. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned golden and the air grew brisk, Eliza made her decision. She stood at the cliff's edge, watching the sea with Thomas by her side. "I've painted every corner of this world," she said softly, "but I've never felt as complete as I do here, with you." Thomas took her hand, his heart swelling with hope. "Stay," he whispered. "We'll face our pasts together and build a future from the ruins." Eliza smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I will." And so, Eliza remained at Beacon Point Lighthouse, her art flourishing with new inspiration. Together, she and Thomas learned to forgive themselves and each other, finding healing in their shared love. The lighthouse, once a symbol of solitude, became a beacon of hope and new beginnings, its light guiding not just ships, but also the hearts of those who found their way to its shores.